Juan, get off of Hangouts.
Hi, Miss Jamia.
Good morning, everybody. Okay, we got 1 more minute, guys. I can't hear you. It's very low. Hold on. Let me see. It might be kids it on my computer. Okay, guys, it's 9:01. We're gonna have to get started. Um, Okay. Rasul, put your shirt on.
I am so sorry.
You may not have realized he was in camera. Good morning, Shiloh. So you're in a different part. Is that your room? You're in a different part of your room today.
Yeah, this is my room.
Oh, it looks so neat. You're very neat, aren't you? Okay, guys, we're gonna get started. It's 9:02.
Okay, try here. Hello?
Yeah, you sound really good. Now let me turn you down.
Okay. I'll turn down on this one. Okay. Better?
I think it's me. You sound real good. Like I think I have you up too loud.
Okay. Testing, testing.
You know, oh my. All right, I think I'm gonna get started. So hopefully it'll work out. I got this and, and so here we go. We're getting started. It's a new year. It's a new day. It's a new everything, right? Challenge A, second semester. All right, we know the rules. No third party distractions. Come to class on time, dress appropriately, use your first name. Um, Make sure your camera is on and your audio is on mute until you speak. Mute your microphone. Be respectful of your classmates and allow them to finish the comments before interjecting. Participate. If you have a question, raise a hand. And if I said that it's okay to just chat, just be mindful if your if your classmates are speaking. Use the chat responsibly. And remember, I can't really see the chat that well, so um, it's better if you just raise a hand and speak to me if you're trying to respond to a question, okay? And then lastly, have fun. Okay, and you guys know, so for today, we're doing 3 seminars: your guide, your brain, your math stuff, your science fair stuff, and your LTW stuff is what you need for today.
Mr. Mia, you're really stuffy. It's kind of hard to understand what you're saying.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know if that's just me, but
Oh no. So can you understand me now? Is that better?
it's a little better. It's still kind of stuffy though.
Okay, stuffy like I sound stuffy or stuffy like my sound sounds stuffy.
Is
I
that kind of like,
It might be either.
yeah, either like your microphone is covered, sort of. That's what it sounds
okay. That's kind of like let me get it. See if that'll help. Okay, guys. Okay. Let me see if this will help. Okay, does that sound better?
like. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. I had to use my little external mic here. Looks like a little spaceship, isn't it cute? I got all these little gadgets, you guys, over the break. I was like, oh, this will be good for class. Oh, this will be good for class.
I may have gone a little gadget happy, but hey, they come in handy. Okay. Where am I going to put this little thing out of my way? Okay, there we go. Okay. And then your smiles and conversation and your dry erase boards. Okay, Ardivo, how many of you guys got to watch the inauguration on Wednesday? Yeah. Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? Was it different than, have you watched other ones before?
I think Mr. Vince put the last election on at CC because it was on a Friday.
Okay. So did it look different than ones that you've seen before? You don't remember? Well, all of those guards that they had there, they hadn't really been there before. I think they may have had some guards for Obama's first inauguration, but not so much for his second. But there were a lot of armed guards for this one. And then, you know, with COVID, there weren't nearly as many people as you would normally see because they had to kind of social distance. So I was wondering how they were going to do that with inauguration, but they made it work. So look at my picture. What are they doing?
Duh.
Fist bumping.
Yep, that's exactly what they're doing. Do you think you would have ever seen the day where you're going to see the president and vice president fist bumping? I thought that that was hilarious. We are in a new day and a new time. I saw them do that and I about fell out. I was like, did they just fist bump? Oh my goodness. Okay, because hello, sorry, no annotation on our screen here. Because do we realize that President Biden is our oldest president ever? He's our oldest president ever. So I think he's like 86, something like that.
78.
78? Okay, I might have had the numbers transposed, sort of. 78, he is our oldest president ever. So even to see a 78-year-old man fist bumping, that is a sight, right? Okay, so I thought I would just kind of make our Devo relevant to the times we're living in, like this present week. Romans 13 and verse 1 talks about governing authorities. So can I get a reader for Romans 13 verse 1? Kendall.
Romans 13:1. Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Kendall. So we have about 7 minutes for Devo time. So again, we're going to continue practicing the 5 common topics to learn how to just discuss different topics. So we're going to start with definition. Let's go ahead and define subject. What do you think that means? Let everyone be subject.
It means like let everybody be educated.
Say it again, Jordan.
It means like let everybody be educated.
Educated, did you say? Your volume is low. Turn it up a little bit. Did you say educated?
Educated.
Educated. Not quite.
Like everyone's a part of this. Everyone is a part of what is saying, and they have to be a part of it. There's
Okay, Tally.
Maybe let everyone make their own decision about how they think about the president or whoever's in the government.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
they're under the governing authorities' control.
Okay, yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. So this word subject means to kind of be in submission. Do we know what that word means, to be in submission? Like you're in submission to your parents. That means that you listen to their guidance and you obey them because they are your parents, right? And so in this case, this word subject means to be in submission to. So now what are the governing authorities? What would that be considered? What was it in the day that this was written? What would it have been?
They don't know.
William?
A king, probably.
Right. So in Rome, what was their governing authority in Rome?
Dictator, kind of like Caesar, whatever Caesar.
Caesar. That's exactly what it was. So in Latin, we see a lot of sentences about government and Caesar and all of that, right? So at the time that this was written, that their governing authority would have been Caesar. What do we know about Caesar? Was he considered good, evil, indifferent? What do you remember about the government when Jesus was here? Were they good, evil, indifferent?
Kind of evil.
Okay, they crucified him, right? I would say that there was something evil in that, right? So, but look at the rest of our scripture here. It says, let everyone be subject to the governing authorities. So at the time that this was written, Caesar would have been their governing authority. Who's our governing authority in the United States?
Well, the president, and then the like the executive branch and the judicial branch, or maybe.
Right. Very good. And even like the local government, right? The laws of the land, that's what we are to be subject to. And the second part is the most important part of the scripture. For there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. So how does that help us to kind of put the governing authorities in perspective, whether they're good or evil? How does that help us put them in perspective? Kendall?
We still have to listen to them even if they're bad.
Right. So there's another scripture that says, as long as what they're asking us to do doesn't oppose what God says, then we should be subject to them. Why do you think God put them there? How would the world be if we didn't have any government?
A mess.
Right. It'd be chaotic, right? We need order. So God has established these people there for order because we need order. And so I want to show you an example of what the scriptures tell us about an evil government authority. How many of you are familiar with Nebuchadnezzar? William, can you tell us who he was?
He was a guy, and I think he was a king of like Babylon a long time ago. He had an uncle that I think also ruled, and he was around, and he didn't believe in God, and then God made him like a cow or something to eat grass for like 7 years or something, and then he became a good guy.
Okay. So most of that is accurate. He didn't make him a cow. Let me get a reader for Daniel 4:31 through 32. Go ahead, Daniel, read that for us.
Daniel 4. Oh, sorry. Daniel chapter 4, verse 31 and 32. While the Lord was still in the king's mouth, a voice fell from heaven. King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken, the kingdom has departed from you, and they shall drive you from men, and your dwell shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make you eat grass like oxen, and 7 times shall pass over you, until you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whomever he chooses.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. So just to give you a quick background, Daniel was a prophet, right? And he was a prophet of God, and he would often be the mouthpiece for God to whomever needed it. He was able to interpret dreams, and Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, and I think his wise men reminded him that Daniel had interpreted dreams before. So he called upon Daniel to ask him what his dream meant. And 1 year to the date that this happened, Daniel told him what would happen to him basically if he did not repent from the evil that he had been doing. And so he chose not to repent. And then we come to 31, and the Bible says, while the word was still in his mouth, the Lord humbled him. And when you see here that it says 7 times shall pass over you, so he was in the wilderness as a wild beast for 7 years until he was humbled to be able to now become, come back to his right mind and be subject to the Lord. But the most important part that I wanted you to see that parallels Romans 13:1 is that red part. Until you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whomever he chooses, right? So that parallels what we have in Romans 13:1 to say that ultimately God is the supreme being. He is the one that is in control, no matter who is in office, you guys, whether the person in office we feel is good or evil, God is in control. And when we have someone in office, there are things that we need to learn, right? And then there's things that, maybe that person has to learn. We don't know. But they were put there by God. They were put there by God for a reason. We don't always know what the reason is. But when we now have new people in office, and just like before, we had to be subject to their governing authority. So, okay, we're going to get to math. So we're going to get to use my new toy today. So have you guys heard of a Wacom tablet before? It's this little thing. And it comes with this cool little pen. So I can write on it like I'm writing on my screen. And it took me some time. I've had it for about a month now. And there's kind of a learning curve because I had to learn how to use it. It has these 2 little buttons and you can program the buttons to do different things. I didn't do any of that because I was like, I need to first learn what the default is. And I'm still learning the default. So bear with me, but I just thought it would be excellent for us to do for math and possibly even for LTW sometime if we're doing an Annie chart or trying to figure out whatever a new tool is for LTW. Okay, so we're going to start with our mental math. And take out your whiteboards, or you can write them in your, you know what, I don't see Simon here. Do I see Simon here?
I probably don't have myself names like.
I don't see Simon here today. Is that you, Master's Class of CC? Is that you, Simon? Or is that?
Yeah, I forgot to rename myself.
Oh, okay. Can you turn your camera on for me, please? So you guys, Eden won't be joining us today. Her grandpa passed away suddenly last night. So keep her and her family in your prayers, guys, because they're going through it right now, okay? Okay, here's our first one. So Jordan and Daniel, I realized that you might not be on this yet. It's cross multiplication. I'm gonna work through it in a minute.
Should we hold up our answers?
Yeah, you can. Not quite, William. Yes, very good. W equals that. Good job, Grant. Good job, Kendall. Are you working, Simon? Can you work through it, please? W equals, yes, very good, Shiloh. Who am I waiting on? Russell, are you working? Are you covering your camera on purpose? Who was that? Was that your brother, William?
No, my friend's staying with me.
Oh, okay. Simon, are you working?
I don't know how to do this really.
Okay, you know how to do this. We've done these type before. Tally, you working? You see my little cursor thing right there? That's my pen.
How much does one of those little tablet things cost?
This one was $50.
That's a lot.
It was a present to myself for Christmas, and this little cute little microphone too was $50. It's so cute, isn't it cute? Like it fits in my purse. If I need to like take it with my laptop, it even works with my iPad. I can plug it into my iPad if I need an extra mic. Because I've been teaching out school classes, so sometimes I need a microphone. Okay, not quite, Tally. Okay, so let's look and see how we do this. So this is, it would be like an equivalent fraction, right? So usually you will just cross multiply in order to figure it out. So 15 times W gives me 15W, right? And then I have my equal sign, and then 10 times 9 is 90. And then I will do the same thing to both sides of my equal sign, right? Good job, William. Is that how you, yeah, that's how you did it?
Well, actually, I did it in my head, but I just worked it out afterward.
Okay, yes. And so we would now divide both sides by 15. And so W would equal 6. 90 divided by 15 equals 6. Okay, so Simon, does that look familiar? We've done these kind before. Does that look familiar? Yes, no, maybe so.
Is this you using your tablet thing?
No, it's a learning curve because the tablet doesn't fit up with the screen. So sometimes my pen will end up like on the far right and I need more space. Like I need to be working from the middle. I need to watch a few more videos to see how to do that. Okay, let's try this one. So we have exponents here, and Jordan and Daniel, I wasn't able to work through them for you last time, but I will be this time. So good job, Kendall. Good job, William. Simon, I need to see you working. Okay, yes, please don't respond in the chat. Write it down and show it to me, okay? Because I can't always see the chat, but good job. Good job, Shiloh. Good job, Grant. Russell, you're trying. Okay. Hold your hand up behind that for me, Tally. Oh, I can't see that. You have a white piece of paper to hold up behind it? There you go. Does that say 21? What's it say? 23? Not quite, you're off a little bit. Okay, so let's see how to work through this. So exponents, yes, good job, Callie. Exponents just means we're going to multiply this number by itself this many times. So I would have, okay, 5 times 5 times 5, right? What does that give me? Jordan, what does that give me? Do you know? 5 times 5 times 5?
You said 5 times 5 times 5 times 5.
Right, so that's what this 5 cubed, that's what this equals. So what does, what's the number that this equals? What's the product? Let me see, Russell, hold it up for me, Russell, a little bit more. Does that say 25? Hold it up more, Russell, for the second problem. And bring it closer to me. Does that say 25? Yes, good job. Okay, so 5 times 5 times 5, that equals 125. And so then we're gonna have that subtraction sign, right? That's right here. And then we want 10 squared. So that equals what? What does that equal? What's 10 times 10? William?
100.
Right, 100. And so we have a subtraction problem now, right? 125 minus 100. Right, and so that equals 25. Very good, Jordan. Okay, let's try this one. Oh, so I have to, there we go. This one is adding decimals. Simon, I'd like to see you writing, okay? 3.65 plus 1.2 plus 2. Good job, Grant. Good job, William. Good job, Kendall. Good job, Shiloh. Good job, Tally. Simon, what you got for me? Grant. Good job, Simon. Yes, you may. Jordan and Daniel, you guys working? Okay, not quite, Jordan. So when you set up your problem vertically, you want to line up your decimal points. Okay, so hold it up for me, Russell, so I can see your lower number. Good job. So when you line up your, not quite, Daniel, when you line up your decimal points, so it would be 3.65 and then 1.2, and then we don't see a decimal point for the 2, but there's an understood decimal point right after it. So if we want to just fill in all of these with placeholder zeros, right? And then we just add. So set it up like that and then add and see what you get. Good job, Jordan. Daniel, did you work it out? Good job, Jordan. Very good. So do you see if you line up your decimal points and then you just add regularly, okay? If you guys write this in your brain when you come up on it in your in your notebook, when you come up on it in your math lessons, then you'll remember how to do it. Okay, good job, Daniel. Good job. Last one, guys. Last mental math one. So 9y plus 3 equals 75. So this is an equation. Y equals 8. Very good. Oops, I didn't mean to say the answer out loud. Good job, William. Oh no. Good job, Tally. Everybody should get it right now. Good job, Shiloh. Okay, Miss Jamia and her mouth. So whatever we do to the left side, we have to do to the right. So here we need to try to isolate this variable to one side. Good job, Grant.
You could subtract 3 from both sides.
Very good. So we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. That leaves us with 9y equals 72. And then we will now divide 9 on both sides, and that gives us y equals 8. Okay. All right, so now we're going to get into our lessons. Where's my little, I need to move you guys out of my way here. Again, we're going to practice discussing math as we work through learning our new items or being exposed to some new items, or it could be review for some of you. I gotta make it where I can see all of you though. All right. So 5 common topics, our definition question first. What is inclusion? Have you guys heard that word before? Inclusion? Right? Have you heard it outside of math? So what does it mean outside of math? Kendall.
Including something?
Right. Can you try to define it without using the root word?
I can't think of anything.
Okay. William.
Making someone a part of something, like including them, or like making them a part of your game, letting them in a group.
Okay.
Playing a game, your mom might say include your brother or something. That means like she wants you to she wants you to let him play and do the things that you do.
Okay, very good. So now what does it mean in math? Symbols of inclusion. What do you think that would mean? Kendall.
It means that the things inside the symbols of inclusion you do first.
Okay. Not necessarily first, right? So if we were to have a working definition, it would be all the contents of one set that are contained by symbols. Because as you learn more symbols and you add more symbols to your number sentences, it'll help you to know order, but not necessarily first, right? Okay, very good. So what are the symbols of inclusion? What are they? Grant.
Parentheses and like brackets.
Very good. Okay, so we have a problem here on the screen. You see that? So what are the parts of this problem?
Parentheses and subtraction.
Okay, very good. How many steps are in this problem? 2, very good. The symbols of inclusion help us to know that that's a step, right? Okay, so if you notice, I have our 5 common topic questions coming up on the side because at some point, Ms. Jamia is going to start to ask you Give me a definition question for what you see on the screen. Give me a comparison question for what you see on the screen. So we're going to practice it quite a bit, and then slowly but surely, I'll be asking you to guide the discussion too. Okay, so can this problem be solved from left to right? It can't, why?
Because of the parentheses.
Very good. Okay, how about this problem? What do you notice different in this problem?
Brackets.
Okay, brackets. Very good. So what do the brackets mean? That's a definition question. What do the brackets mean? William?
They're another symbol of exclusion that you work out after you work out parentheses, but before you go to the outside number, which in this case would be 20 minus.
Okay, very good, very good. So they are definitely another symbol of inclusion. And you know, as you get into algebra and physics, you start to see a lot of different symbols of inclusion. And if you don't understand what they mean, you're gonna look at those problems cross-eyed, like, how do I solve that? I don't know. Okay, so how is this problem similar or different than this problem? How's it similar, Kendall?
It has parentheses and a 5 and a 7 and a 15. So it's the same problem except you have a 20. You add a 20 outside the brackets.
Okay, very good. And how do the brackets make it different? Daniel. How do the brackets in this problem here make it different than this problem here?
What was the question?
How do the brackets in this second problem make it different than this problem?
The first problem has 15 minus parentheses 5 plus 7 parentheses, and the other one has I don't know what those things called that's on the outside of the 15.
Brackets.
And it has that. It has brackets 15 minus. Well, it's different because it starts the problem with a different number.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Daniel. So how many steps did we say was in the first problem? 2. How many steps in the second problem? 3. Very good, 3. Okay, so what concept are we trying to learn with these symbols of inclusion? William?
The order of operations.
Good job. Exactly. It helps us to understand order, the order of operations. Very good. So do we have enough information to solve both of these problems? Oops. Yes, we do, right? No variables or anything like that. So we definitely have enough info. Okay, so what would be the order? What's the order for problem number 1? Jordan, what do I do first in problem number 1?
Don't you minus 5?
Not quite. Rasul, what would I do first in problem number 1? Do you remember our acronym PEMDAS? What does that P stand for in PEMDAS? I can't hear you. Unmute. Okay. I have a little hint right here. Can you guys see my little hint? Can you see that?
Parentheses.
Right, very good. Can you guys see that? You can't see it? How about now? Is it backwards? It's not backwards, is it?
You can see it. if I just pin your video, we can see it better.
Okay. So Jordan, do you see that top thing? This right here, PEMDAS? Okay, so that is the order of operations that helps us to know what to do first. So in that first problem, we're going to do the parentheses first because the parentheses are there. It tells us to do that first. Okay, so now with testimony, what laws are we using to solve these problems? William?
Addition, subtraction, and parentheses.
Right, so the law still would be PEMDAS, right? The order of operations, that's the law that we would follow. Okay, so now with this problem, what do you notice different about this one? Kendall?
It has absolute value, which can also work as a symbol of inclusion.
Very good, very good. So we didn't mention absolute value in the beginning for what the symbols were. And absolute value is funny. When I was going through the lesson, I was like, oh yeah, absolute value is. I didn't say absolute value either when I was initially reviewing the lesson, but it certainly is a symbol of inclusion. Tell me, what do you know about the absolute value? What is it? What's the definition of absolute value? Grant.
You basically just change the sign of whatever numbers in it.
Okay, you're telling me how to solve that, but what is it? What is absolute value if you had to define it?
Well, it's a.
Aha, I've stumped you. Does anyone else want to try? What's the definition of absolute value?
You take the number, you make it positive.
Okay, you're giving me how to solve it as well. I would like a definition. Anyone else want to try? Simon.
It's the value of a number, whether it's negative or positive. It's basically the number with the negative sign removed.
Okay, not quite. So I'm going to help you. It is the distance away from zero. That's why it's never negative. So if you have a -3 or a +3, what's the absolute value? It's 3 because it's 3 places away from zero, no matter which way on the number line you go. So just remember that the absolute value is always the distance away from zero. So that should help you to remember that the sign will always be positive. Okay, so what do we need to know about absolute value? We need to know that the sign will always be positive, right? Especially if we are working with numbers that have different signs. We have signed numbers, then we definitely need to understand how absolute value works. And so what would be the order of operations for this problem? What would we do first? Daniel. What would we do first in this third problem here?
What is it you want? It's third.
Were you listening to the last part about absolute value?
Yes.
Okay, so then what would be the first step in this problem?
So then the other one must be calculated. The first step is to minus 12
Okay, not quite.
Minus.
Not quite. Jordan, you want to try?
Yes.
Okay, so what would be the first step in this
The
problem?
first thing to do, isn't it minus 8?
No, not quite.
Oh.
Is it, do you have to minus 4 times 6? 4 minus 6?
Right. So you have to do the absolute value first. That would be the first step. These lines here, this is called absolute value. It's another symbol of inclusion. So usually you're going to work from the inward out, right? So you're going to do whatever is inside and then you work out until you get to the final step. So how many steps would be in this problem now? Tally, how many steps in this problem?
3, I believe.
Yep, exactly. So first we would find the absolute value. Then we would do the number sentence within the parentheses, and then we would do the final subtraction problem. Okay, so now I'd like you to solve these problems now that we've gone through the order of operations. What would be the answer? What happened to my pen? Oh.
Do you want us to just keep them on our brains or hold them up?
You can keep them on your brains. Just give me a thumbs up when you've completed. You work through, I'm going to work through. So first we do this, 12. Uh-oh. See, that's that little learning curve I'm telling you about. I press that button and it does all kind of crazy stuff. 12. And if I just write it how it is, then 15 minus 12 is 3. And then this is 17. Say it again. Oh, this should be a 3. Thank you, Grant. That should be a 3. Okay. That's why I got you guys as extra eyes. So 4 minus 6. How do I do that one, guys? How do I do 4 minus 6? Kendall.
The answer is -2, but it's asking for the absolute value, so the answer is 2.
Very good. So first you do whatever operation is inside the absolute value, and then the answer will be the positive of that absolute value. So just like Kendall said, 4 minus 6 is -2, but the absolute value of that is 2. And then I do what's in the parentheses. I just bring that down, +2. And this is going to be -8 on this side. And I have my parentheses still there, -12. And then this is 8 minus 2 is what? Or you can cancel this out as 0. But this would be 0. 8 minus 0 would be 8, right? So 8 and then 12. And then this would be 4. How'd you guys do? Did you all get those same answers? Minus my 13 in the beginning there. Thanks for catching my error there, Grant. Okay, now we're going to look at adding signed numbers. So what are signed numbers? Or what is this? What do you see? Simon, what do you see? What do you see?
Underlined.
Okay, very good. What do you see on the number line, Tally?
The words.
Okay, you see words. What else?
Integers.
Okay, very good. And so if we were to define integers, what are they, Kendall? What are integers?
Whole numbers?
Okay, very good. So there would be all the numbers on the number line, right? Including 0. And what did we learn about 0? William?
0 is neither positive or negative.
Right. And so usually when we do number sentences that have signed numbers, we are going to start at 0 if we're using a number line. Okay, so the number line kind of helps us identify which way to go on it, right? So if I had this number sentence, +2 plus +3, I'll do the first one together. Which way would I go for the +2? Do I go to the left or to the right? Daniel. If I have this number sentence here, +2 plus +3. For this +2, do I go to the left or to the right on my number line?
To the right.
Very good. So if I were to go here, 1, 2, that gives me my +2, right? And now I want to add +3. So do I go to the left or to the right?
To the right.
All right, so I go 3 more. 1, 2, 3. That's me adding 3 more. That takes me to a +5. So, and we know that we're only writing the positives right now for the sake of us now learning more about the negative numbers. But whenever we see a number by itself, what sign is it? William?
It is positive.
Right. It's almost like that implied you, right? In our imperative sentences. Okay, so how about this one? A -2 plus a -3. Jordan, you want to try this one? Which way do I go in my number line for the -2?
Don't you go to the left?
Yep, exactly. I go to the left because my negative numbers are to the left. So if I go left 2, 1, 2, that is my -2. And now I want to add -3. So which way do I go in my number line?
To the left?
Exactly. So 1, 2, 3. It takes me to -5. That's my answer. And so my answer now becomes -5. And this one was +5. Okay, good job. Try this one. Rasul, let's try this one. +2 plus -3.
Are we supposed to write it down and hold it up or something? Or just keep it right there?
No, for now, we're just discussing the math. So Rasul, if I were to do this next one, +2, which way would I go on my number line? To the left or to the right? I can't hear you if you're speaking to me. You're not. So if you look at the screen, I have a number line on the screen for you already. If I wanted to go +2, which way would I go on my number line? Would I go to the left or to the right? Would I go this way or this way? So which way are my positive numbers? These are all positive numbers that you don't see a plus sign, but when we don't see a sign at all, it's an understood positive sign there. So I would go 2 to the right. And then if I now want to add -3, Shiloh, which way do I go on my number line? To the left or to the right?
To the left.
Right, so now I'm gonna go back 3, 1, 2, 3, and that puts me at -1. Oh, it disappeared. Puts me at -1. So I see here that that would be -1. So last one, -2 now plus +3. William,
Yes, are you asking me the answer?
yes.
1.
Right, so that's going to be +1 because I went 2 to the left, -2, and then I went 3 back to the right, 1, 2, 3, and that puts me at +1. So now that we have these different signs here, you see a positive plus a positive, a negative plus a negative, a positive plus a negative, and a negative plus a positive. What rules can we observe from these examples? What rules can we observe from the first two? Positive plus a positive.
A positive plus a positive number is always positive.
Mhm. And from the second one, Simon, what rule can we observe from the second example? From this example right here.
Negative plus a negative is negative.
Very good. So now these next two get a little bit tricky, right? What rule can we observe from this one? Or can we, do we have enough information to be able to figure out a rule, or will we need to see more examples of the same?
A smaller positive number plus a larger negative number is negative.
Mhm. Okay, is that always the case for a positive plus a negative? Is it always going to be a negative?
No,
No.
not. That's why I was giving this, going a little more specific.
Right. So we're looking at testimony here now, right? We're looking at the laws that falls under testimony. So a positive plus a positive will always be positive. A negative plus a negative will always be negative. And this is where now we have to determine the add-in that is the greatest. So the add-in that is the greatest, the sum will take on the sign. Okay, and if you have to kind of do it on the number line a few times to still understand whether you have to subtract or add, go ahead and do that. But usually if you set it up as an addition, even if when we get into subtraction, if you set up the subtraction sentence as an addition sentence, it will help you with the signs until you get used to the signs, if that makes sense. That's kind of how I taught my kids how to do the sign numbers. So real quick, we actually don't have time. I want us to get to at least lesson 65. So we don't have time for you to try. I want us to get to these ratios. So what is a ratio? What's a ratio? Let's define that. What is a ratio? We've worked with them before. So what are ratios? Grant.
It's like a smaller number of the total of people who are there.
Say it again.
It's like the smaller number of like whatever you're trying to figure out.
A ratio?
Mm,
Give me an example of a ratio.
ratio would be like there were like cows and chickens on a farm. The ratio was like 5 to 4 or something like that.
Okay, so what are you doing with those two numbers? What are you doing with them?
You're comparing them?
Yes, exactly. So a ratio is a comparison. It's a comparison of two numbers, and usually kind of by division sign, right? Because we would write it as a fraction. So we would write 5 to 4 as like 5/4, right? And the way that we would say it would be 5 to 4. Okay, very good. And so we just said that we express ratios in fractions usually, or if they're written out, use the word to show the comparison. And so what's the best way to display the information now in this problem? Let me have a reader for the problem. Russell, can you read this problem for me, please?
What does a ratio mean? How do we express ratios? What is the best way to display this information?
No, there's a problem right here that says the ratio of boys to girls. Can you see that? At the concert?
Oh, yeah, the ratio of boys to girls at the concert was 5 to 4. If there were 180 children at the concert, how many girls were there?
Okay, very good. So what would be the best way for us to display this information in this word problem? Shiloh.
Can you say that again? Sorry, I couldn't really hear you.
What would be the best way for us to display this information? What have we used before with ratios? You remember? Does anyone remember?
I feel like I know it, but I like don't know what to call it, or I don't know how to explain it.
Okay, so we've used tables before, right? We've used tables to display the information. So what are we looking for? What is it that we're looking for? Tally.
The ratio of boys to girls.
No.
How many girls there were?
Right. So we're looking for how many girls. It's important that we read the problem and look to see what you're looking for, because I cannot tell you how many times my kids get things wrong because they wrote down something else that the problem didn't say that they were looking for, right? So we're looking for how many girls. Okay, so do you think we have enough information in our problem to solve it? Yes, we do. So let's look at our table. So if we were to now construct the table, we have the information in the table we have is boys, girls, and then the total, right? So we have, there's 5 boys, our ratio, 5 boys, 4 girls. We weren't given the total of the ratio, but we can know it by just adding them together, right? So we have a total of 9. And then we have the actual count of what we're looking for now. So we have not been given how many boys are in 180 and how many girls are in 180, but we do have enough information to figure it out. So we're going to do this one problem and then we're going to have to end math. So the way that we would do this now, because we've been given a total, we're going to set up an equation that's going to be, we're looking for girls. So it would be the girl ratio to the total. And then here we have the unknown to the total. You understand that? So we would write an equation. So it would be 4/9, right? This is the girl, the girl ratio to the total of boys and girls to here, we're looking for girl. That's our variable. So we'll call that X. We don't have that answer. And then we have the total number of children is 180. So it looks like this, 4/9 equals X over 180. Did we just solve a problem like that? Yes. So we would just cross multiply. 9X equals, what's 180 times 4? 180 times 4. Who's got it for me?
Is it like 720?
720. Yes. 720. Okay, and then I divide both sides by 9. What's my final answer?
80.
Right, 80. So that tells me that there's 80 girls. How do I find out how many boys? Grant.
Well, you just subtract 80 from 100. But
Right.
also, I do mine a different way than that.
Okay, how do you do yours?
So I find out the total by adding the ratio. So 5 and 4 would 9. And then you have 180. Then I divide 180 by 9. And so you'd get 20. And then I multiply whichever one I want to find out by 20, which would give me 80.
Hold on. How'd you get the 20 again?
By dividing 9
Into 100.
divided by 9. And then I'd get 20. And I'd times 4 by 20 and I'd get 80.
Okay. Okay, does anyone have another way that they do it? Oh my goodness, Les. He looks so much older. Oh my goodness. I've seen him in forever. So in your book, it describes doing it this way. Certainly, the great thing about math is that there's usually more than one way to arrive at an answer, right? So however you see fit for the word problems, the thing is just to write it out. Tables are a great tool to use when you're solving ratio problems. Okay, so we have to end math there. And I didn't even have a chance. We had 3 more lessons of math. I gotta figure out how to get through this better. Maybe I have to cut down on our mental math because we only got through, yeah, we still had 4 more lessons. Okay, I actually might do a recording and just put it up in the classroom for you guys if you want to look at it. It's up to you, it's optional. Okay, I can give you a 5-minute break if you like. Okay, 5 minutes. Come back at 10:15.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for a science fair, you don't actually have to have the dates on your research paper, do you? Just in your lab journal.
Right. So on your research, we'll talk about that more at science time, but for your research paper, it really should look like a report.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna take away the dates that I've been typing on it.
Okay. And so there should be no Roman numerals on it. I think.
How about for my research plan? Should there be dates on it for my research plan?
Yes.
Also, there should be dates for research plan, like the.
For your research plan, I don't think they're dated. I think that would be in your notes section in your lab journal. Your research plan should be a draft of kind of whatever your research paper is going to be.
And then, sorry, what were you going to say?
Yeah, all of those other things would go in your notes.
And then for my lab journal, I put my and then I put dates in my lab journal, right?
Yes.
The date, everything I put. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Hey, baby. Okay, we have 1 more minute. Oh, I don't think I knew I could do that. Oh, that's cool. Oh, wow. Test. Okay, cool. I did not know I could do that. Okay. Okay, guys, it's 10:15. All right, guys, it's 10:15. Go ahead and click the link in the chat. Click the link in the chat. We're doing Nearpod for LTW. Click the link in the chat and give me a thumbs up when you're there. Okay, good job, Daniel. Good job, Shiloh. I don't know. Okay, I see.
Yeah, do you want our only names in your spot to be our real name? Like,
Yeah.
other optional names.
You can put a nickname if I need you to put some kind of initials next to it so I know it's you, okay? Miss Jamia's brain is a little murky with all these meds I'm on. I only have 2 people in there. Okay, 5 now. Okay, good job, Kendall. William. So I'm gonna have, how many in there today? 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Yes, William.
Are you gonna tell us when to come out of it? So otherwise we should just stay in it.
Yeah, stay in. I'll let you know when to come out. Daniel, are you in? Yeah.
I'm in.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I should have at least 8 in there. I have 6. Russell, are you in? Turn your camera on for me, please. Let's see who is in. Rasul is in, Daniel, Kendall, Shiloh. So Jordan, I don't have you in there. Tally's in.
What's the code?
You shouldn't need a code. You just have to click the link. The link in the chat box. Found a new way so you guys don't have to do a code. Okay, 7. Okay, there you go, Jordan. Okay, who am I missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Russell, Grant, Jordan, Kendall, Shiloh. Okay, I have 8 now. Okay. And I don't know, Miss Anita, if you guys are on and you want to see the lesson, you'll have to click on the link to see the lesson if you guys are working with us today. Okay. So we are in Secret Garden. Have you guys started The Door in the Wall? Has anybody started it yet? Are you liking it? Okay, very good. Did you say no, William? I'm trying to get through it myself. Okay, so I have this very cute slideshow for you guys. I told you that I really love this book, and I know that some of you did not love this book. Her imagery for you was a little over the top, right? For some of you, it was a little too much, but I really like that. So I found this cute little drawing that gives us like an overview of the book. And so here we start.
Oh, I read the audiobook.
Okay, very good, Russell. So we start here in India, where Mary, she is abandoned, right? Abandoned by her parents. This is where she was raised. And then she moves to Yorkshire. Look at that. What part of England?
Yorkshire.
What part of England is that? North, south, east, or west?
North.
Very good. Northern England. And when she, well, obviously in between that, she goes somewhere else, right? That's where they get the Mary, quite contrary thing. Are you guys familiar with that nursery rhyme? Did I ask you that already? Did you look it up? Because it has everything to do with her. Because I was like, oh yeah, this does kind of have to do with her, with the whole garden and stuff. And so she goes to this huge manor that has 100 rooms, and it's on the moor. And she begins to explore the moor, and then she sees this cute little robin. How does she first meet the robin? Through who? Kendall.
Ben Weatherstaff.
Right, Ben Weatherstaff. And so this person who drew this, they think of Ben as grumpy. Do you guys think of Ben as grumpy? Right, maybe at times, right? At times he was grumpy, but it's interesting because if I wouldn't have read the book, I'd have been like, oh, that character doesn't sound so nice. But I mean, he ended up being like a good guy, right? I mean, all in all, in the end, his personality may have been a little kind of stiff, but still, I don't know if I would have necessarily described him as grumpy. But so then, okay, then she explores. This little girl explores all of this land and the house and all of that. And then she meets Martha. And Martha's mother gives her a jump rope. And what does she do with that jump rope? Kendall.
She jumps.
You are so clever. Right, she jumps. She hadn't never really exercised before. Like this was the first time to get her little heart racing and her heart pumping. And we just talked about how important exercise is to the body last week in reasoning, right? And so now this little girl who didn't get very much activity, she's now starting to get activity, exploring the moor, jumping her jump rope. So this ends up being like a whole new way of life for her at this place. And so then the drawing now goes to her meeting Dickon. And what's his nickname? What's Dickon's nickname? Towie.
I forgot.
Okay, you remember, Shiloh?
I didn't remember that he had a nickname, but wasn't he like an animal charmer or something?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. They kept referring to him as like the animal charmer. And we see that he certainly was something special about him. And that would be kind of cool to know somebody like that, or to be able to do that yourself. He was able to talk to the animals and respond to them, and he understood their language. I don't think I've ever met anyone like that. And so then here is where they introduce Ben, Grumpy Ben, and he helps Mary with her gardening. And then one day, it's raining outside. So what does that mean when it's raining, that she can't do what? Grant.
Go into the garden.
Right. She can't go outside and explore. So now she needs to try to find the time to busy herself inside. But then she hears these sounds of crying. And how many times did she hear it before she finally went to explore where it was coming from? Very good, Kendall. Yes, 3 times. That would be kind of creepy to be in a big old house like that. And then you hear some crying and no one really wants to tell you what it is, right? That would make me want to go find out where this noise is coming from. How about you? Yeah, I think so. Especially if it's raining and you can't go outside and you need something to do. It's time to explore, right? Okay, so then she goes and she finds Colin, this sick young man inside his room, Colin Craven. And now she starts to visit with him, and she is able to kind of help him notice his own behavior, and his behavior starts to improve. The staff is kind of blown away, like, oh, this Mary has to come with him all the time because we can't take Mr. Colin here, and we need her to make our jobs a whole lot easier, right? So Mary was a blessing to the staff. And then Master Craven, he returns after traveling all the time and not really wanting to see his kid or even see Mary. And why do you think he always stayed away from the manor?
Guilt.
Say it again, Rasul.
Guilt.
Guilt. Okay, very good. Guilt from what?
I mean, every time he thinks of Colin, he thinks of his wife or his widow, or I don't know.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Very good. But what was his reason for staying away from Mary?
He just didn't want to see him.
Okay, very good. He didn't really want to be around anyone, right?
Except for Richard.
right? And so he often traveled. And then here we have this cute little picture of the key, and Mary finds the key to the garden. How does she find the key again? Kendall?
The robin.
Okay, very good. So you guys are going to be interested to know that this really happened to the author. She really had a little bird come on her shoulder and guide her to find a missing key. When I read that, I was like, oh, this really happened. This totally sounds like a made up story. But this house that you're looking at right here, this is the house that inspired her to write the book. So she spent time in this house around 1898. The book was written in 1911, and she spent about 2 years here. And here are the grounds to where that house was that she explored. She explored all of these grounds while she was staying there. And then she, in fact, came upon like a garden pathway. And she saw all the little birds, and I guess this is where she had all of those descriptions in her mind that some of you like and some of you don't like so much. But this is a beautiful place. And then this is the door that she ends up uncovering. So this house still exists. Now it's a place that you can visit and you can rent out for like weddings and things like that. They take really good care of it. And this door used to be covered by all of this stuff. And this little robin landed on her shoulder and led her to a key. And that's how she found the door. And so this was the walkway that led to the garden. Can you imagine? I don't know how old she was because I didn't really try to figure out how old she was when she spent her time here. But can you imagine being a kid and exploring all of those grounds and then that bird really landing on your shoulder? Nobody would believe you, right? Say, oh, poor sweetie, let me get you some tea, sit down, rest your feet, right? Do you think anyone would believe you if they told you that a bird landed on your shoulder and pointed you to a key? That sounds unbelievable, right? But apparently it really happened. And so these are more of the grounds. And then this would have been, this was from the movie, The Secret Garden. So there was another picture I want to show you. So this was the inspiration for the picture, the house from the movie in 1993. It's a real house. It looks a little more spooky to me than the house that she stayed at for the 2 years. Does this house look spooky to you? I mean, I guess the way that they describe it in the book, does it sound like a friendly place to you when she first comes upon it, or does it sound kind of dark and gloomy? Sounds dark? So, okay, so obviously the producers of the movie thought it sounded dark too. So this house definitely looks more dark than the house that she actually stayed at and was inspired to write the book from. I thought that was interesting because it didn't capture it at all, really. But I guess the way that she described it. So, and then this is the grounds of the house from the movie. So this house still exists now too. And you can like go and you can tour it. And it has like little areas where it would be Colin's room and where Mary stayed. And it's a place that you can really visit. And so this was from the movie. Was this the 1993 movie, Grant? What, no, did you see the 93 movie? What did you see?
I saw the new one.
The newer one, okay. So is this one from the newer one or the older one?
The house?
Yeah, the house and the kids.
The house in the picture doesn't look like the house.
Yeah, that house was from the 1993 movie. So I didn't find any of the more recent one. But look at this wheelchair. So back then, the wheelchairs certainly don't look like they look today, right? this looks like a real chair. And they just kind of put wheels on it, right? And so I was like, oh yeah, it would have probably looked so different than our modern wheelchairs today. Has anyone ever been in a wheelchair and had to use it for whatever reason?
Well, I have because I broke my foot
Okay.
or
Yeah.
sprained my foot.
Okay. Yeah. So this one.
No, it was recently, like a couple
Okay.
weeks ago, a couple months ago.
How are you? Are you healing okay, Russell?
Yeah, I just couldn't walk for a couple weeks.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that you're healing up okay. And so they're pushing him. So we saw those grounds. They were pushing him pretty far. And I'm imagining these wheels, they might not be as strong as like our wheels today. So pushing it on that cobblestone and then, I mean, he was a light boy because he was sick initially, but that was a lot for them to wheel him to that garden when you think about it. And then who knows if the animals were getting in the way, trying to keep up with Dickon, right? If they were getting in the way. And so here's the cute little Robin, which I'm just like blown away that really happened to her. He guided her to the key. And this is the inside of the first house, the house that inspired the author to write the book. This is the inside of it, and it's grand, right? It's beautiful. But I guess to a small child at night, when you're hearing weird sounds, it might be spooky. It certainly might be spooky. So I thought you guys might enjoy that little slideshow because I stayed on that website for probably longer than I should have, but it was very interesting. Okay, so we're in arrangement. So remind me, up to now, what are our steps in arrangement? Where are my notes? Oh. Okay, up to now, what are our steps in arrangement?
Sorting.
Sorting, okay, that's step number one. What's next? Simon, what's next after sorting?
Choosing your issue. I mean, not your issue, choosing your side, right? Affirmative or negative.
Okay, that's still a part of sorting. Very good. What comes after sorting? Grant, what comes after sorting? Does anyone remember what comes after sorting in our arrangement canon? What comes after sorting? Are you guys just drawing a blank? Because it's a long break. It was a long break.
Is it exordium or amplification?
Yes, it's exordium. Thank you, William. So it's sorting, then exordium, then what? Tally, you remember? We used MLK's I Have a Dream speech to see an example of this part of arrangement. Starts with an A. Grant.
Amplification.
Very good. And what is amplification?
Who does your issue matter to, Emily?
That's great reading. Thank you, Grant. Right. So Who does it matter to and why? Right? So we've got to remember these steps, because if we can remember the order, let me tell you guys, you will continue to write some amazing papers, and it won't be limited to just persuasive writing. These steps or the tools that you're given in LTW, you can use for any kind of writing. Okay, so if you remember them, you will be a powerful communicator in speeches and in writing. Okay, so today we're actually going to add on to our arrangement, and we're going to look at the next part, which is called division. And division is just a brief statement in your introduction that clarifies your argument and the opposing viewpoint. So if we recall our reasoning from Fallacy Detective, why is it important to recognize the opposing viewpoint? If you're trying to persuade someone, why do you think it would be important to recognize the opposition? Unmute, William.
You may know better how to persuade them.
Okay. Kendall?
It's you know more what they're thinking, and so you can use that to form what you're going to say.
Very good. So we have a tool that helps us look at both sides of our viewpoint. What is that? What tool do we use now to help us look at both sides of our issue? Towie? We have this chart that we use to look at both sides of our issue. What's it called?
Oh, the Annie chart.
Division.
Very good, very good. So we already have begun to do this, right? So I think William had asked at one point, after you pick your issue, like, what are you going to do with the other side? Right? I think it was William that asked that some time ago. And so the Annie really, it's a tool for you to really look at both sides of an argument. And it is so super helpful when you are trying to write persuasively, if you're trying to present for next year when you guys do mock trial, and you need to try to think about what your witnesses might say or what the defendant might say in opposition to some of your questioning. An Annie chart is very helpful for you to kind of get ahead of that. And so in our LTW process, this is going to be one brief statement, but we have a guide in our workbook to kind of work through it so we can think through how to properly say that statement. So let's look at this comic strip. Can I get a reader for Peanuts, Lucy and Linus? You guys are familiar with Peanuts, right? They're classic. You guys do know them, right? Daniel, you want to read it for us?
You don't believe me, do you? Well, it's a scientific fact that girls are smarter than boys. And do you know who discovered it? Women scientists. Oh, good grief.
Thank you. So, what is the argument? What's the argument between Linus and Lucy?
Actually, that's Schroeder.
Is that Schroeder? Is that his name? Okay, thank you, Russell. What is the argument?
Well, doesn't really seem like it's an argument as much, because it just seems like she's trying to state a fact that he doesn't believe.
Okay, so an argument also would just be the issue. Like, what is it that she's trying to prove in her conversation? William.
that boys are smart, that girls are smarter than boys.
Okay, that there's actually 2 points. So that would be one, that girls are smarter than boys. What's another one? Grant.
Who discovered it?
Okay, not quite. It's all in the same sentence.
She's trying to say that she's saying woman's a scientist.
Is she trying to say that she's smarter than him?
Not quite. Kendall?
That it's a scientific fact.
Exactly. She's saying 2 things in there. The first, that it's a scientific fact, and the second is that girls are smarter than boys. So those are that's her argument. And so what would be the opposing viewpoint of that?
Boys are smarter than girls. It's a scientific fact.
Okay, the opposing would be that it's not a scientific fact, right? And the opposing would be that other one, that boys are smarter than girls. So that would be the opposition. So in division, that's what we have to figure out. What is the opposing viewpoint? Now, obviously, in our issues now, because we've done an Annie, it's really easy for us to kind of figure out what the opposing viewpoint is. But sometimes it's not so obvious, just like in that comic strip that we looked at, right? There was one argument that was very obvious, but then there was another one that was subtle. And usually, if you can disprove a scientific fact, then it's probably going to disprove the other part of the argument too, right? And so you want to make sure that you clarify exactly what you're trying to prove. And division kind of will help us do that. So there are parts of division. So what are the parts, right? That would be a definition question. We have the thesis. You guys already know what that is. That's your issue, right? That's the position that you have chosen. Then we have our counter thesis. And we kind of looked at that a little bit, right, already when we were looking at, what was that? Or did we do that yet? I don't know that we did that yet. I don't think we did that part yet. I'm confusing you guys with another class I'm teaching. Our counter thesis would be our opposing viewpoint, and the Annie helps us with that step. And so then we would need to define what are the common terms between both. So have you ever had an argument with someone and then at the end you were just like, what are we arguing about again? Has that happened to you? Yes. And you know why? Because somehow we lose what the argument is, because now we start using fallacies. We both do, right? You do, and then whoever you're arguing with do. And next thing you know, whatever you're arguing about is buried under all this other stuff. And then you're like, wait a minute, how did we get here? I don't even know how we got here, right? And you still never got an answer to whatever your argument was. So coming up with common terms, things that you agree on, is always the best way to go when you're trying to kind of persuade someone or have a disagreement with someone. Figure out what you agree on first. And the purpose of that is to kind of pinpoint what the disagreement is. So you don't want to find yourself arguing over things that you already agree with, right? You don't want to find yourself doing that, because then it's wasted energy. And now you want to find out exactly what is the difference, right? What is the argument? So you have to come up with ideas that you both agree with, and then whatever the disagreement is, that one idea that now you disagree with. And so if we turn to page 53 in your workbook, or I think it's 51 actually. It might be page 51.
You mean for division? I think it's 53.
Is it 53? Okay, in my book, I might have an older edition. Yeah, I think I have an older edition. In my book, it's 51. So you guys are working on essay 5 for Secret Garden. And these are kind of the steps. So you would write your thesis, and a lot of this you already have, right? It's just a matter of you writing it down. You write your thesis, then you write your counter thesis. And so I think in your workbook, do you see a part that says common terms? Does your number 3 say select a group from the list above, which will be helpful for you as you define the term? What does your number 3 say?
You mean the third thing that you're supposed to do?
Yes.
Is it under common opinions? Is it under, is it under agreement, disagreement, or common opinions?
Okay, so I think they completely redid it. So yours does not look like this, right? Okay, it looks like it looks in my teacher's manual. Okay, they completely redid it. Okay, so under common opinions, actually, I think this one was better. But okay, so under common opinions regarding your issue, it is commonly agreed that, so the old way that you used to do it is you used to define terms that were common on both sides. So for example, if we went with our issue that we started in class about Mary finding the key, should she had, what was it? Should she have entered the garden? I think it was. Should she have entered the garden?
Mr. Mia, we do agreement later on in the.
Yes, but they don't have the terms. They don't have the terms that you agree on in here. In the lesson to teach division, even with the Cirque Institute who started LTW, they have in the lesson that first you want to define just terms that are common. So for example, I think the example that they might give you is Edmund and the Witch, right? From, yes, Kendall.
Are we doing essay 5 or essay 6? Because we did 5 books last semester.
Right, yes, we're reviewing essay 5 again.
Okay.
But you're adding division to it.
Isn't this the first time we're doing essay 5, but then we did essay 4 twice last semester?
Is that what happened?
Yeah, I think that's
I think so. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. So this is the first time we're doing 5. Because essay 4 is what we did for the blue books.
Mr. Mia, can I go use the restroom?
Yes, you may. So in your worksheet, it says the common opinion. So it is commonly agreed that, and I guess this is where you can define your terms. So in terms of our book this time, Secret Garden, our class, Annie, we're gonna go through it together in a moment. 3B would be our common opinion. All of that would fit under your common opinions regarding your issue. So you want common terms and then common opinion. And then step number 4, is there anything that both sides want, fear, or believe? And I think that The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe was a great example of, to work through division, because if you were to use Edmund and the White Witch, the common terms would have been Edmund, right? The White Witch, the fact that he was in Narnia, the fact that he was a kid, all of those would have been things that they agreed on. And now the common opinion, right? So what do they agree on? So they agree that, what are some things that the White Witch and Edmund agreed on? Does anyone remember? We have some examples in our book, I think, or I have some in my book. Oops.
They agreed that it was cold outside.
Okay, very good. They agreed that it was cold, that Edmund would have to make a decision. They both agreed about that, right? He was going to have to make a decision if he was going to betray his family. They both agreed that he couldn't stay where he was or he would freeze. They both agreed that Edmund was lost. They both agreed that he was being offered something by the Queen of Narnia. What was her name again? Because I loved her name. What was it again?
Jadis.
Jadis, that's right. Jadis. Yes, Jadis. I love that name. I've been using it too. I've been using it. That's my pen name. They also both agreed that he was away from everyone that he knew. He was alone. They both agreed that he needed help. And they both would agree that he did end up following Jadis, the White Witch. They would have agreed on all of those things. So now what is there anything that both sides of the argument want now? Is there anything that both Edmund and Jadis want?
Power.
Power. Very good. What else? To rule. And they wanted him to make a decision. Edmund wanted to make a decision and Jadis wanted him to make a decision, right? If he was going to betray his family. And so then you would come up with a few. I think they ask you for 3. Do they ask you for 3? Okay, in our old book, they had 3. They had you come up with 3. And so then you would ask 1 point now that you want to, just like you had to choose a position, now you have to choose 1 point of common agreement. And so let's say in this case, Edmund couldn't stay where he was. That was something that they agreed on. And then now you're going to start building your one statement that would be your division in your paper. So it starts out with your thesis. Edmund should not have followed the White Witch. And then the counter thesis. Conversely, others believe that Edmund should have followed the witch. And then you would give your reason why. And it's just one statement. I think as you guys grow and understanding more. Yes, William?
Oh, sorry, is my hand raised?
Yes. As you guys kind of grow and learning how to use division, this is a powerful tool here when you are trying to persuade. Sanai had to do the closing statement for my trial. And she ended up using the template for essay 5 to write her closing statement because she was able to now state the evidence and then state the opposition to be able to persuade the jury. It was good. So remembering these templates and referring to them, like this workbook, if you guys, this can be something that you use throughout your academic career and just referring to the different templates of the outline so that you can knock out these brilliant papers and your professors will be like, oh, magnifique, you are amazing. Yes. Okay. So now if we were to, you should be able to see kind of what we came up with when you did your breakout groups last week of our class, Annie. And there's some reasons here. So we have to choose a side in order to kind of work through what division looks like. So this was our Annie. I've added it so that I have 30. How did you guys do with your Annie this week? Were you able to come up with 30?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And how did you do with your new invention skill definition? Did that help you come up with more?
Miss Jamia, I got a little confused. So I used the division and I kind of did something. I did get a reason for my Annie from it, but also it said to use it for thinking of like your thesis, like make an issue based on essay 5 division and the secret garden. So I did that a little bit, even though I'd already made my issue. But that's what it said in the guide. I think that you're supposed to make your issue based on the definition a bit. So I just changed it a little bit from my definition, like added a little bit something, but
Okay, not division. It said to, you're still in definition. So
I mean, not division definition.
Right.
Said, yeah, that's what it said in the guide.
So if you chose a term to define that was already in your issue, you were just now going to reword your issue so that it fit your definition. Remember, definition is so that you can come up with a working definition up in your own words. And you were going to add that into your issue. So you wouldn't have really been changing it. You would have been making it more clear.
I added something a little bit to make a definition of a word in my issue. I added like 3 words.
Okay.
So I don't know if that fits.
Okay, yeah. If it defined a term to make it more clear, then you did exactly what you were supposed to do for your issue. So the whole point of that tool of definition is now to help you define a term so that if you're trying to persuade somebody, remember we use that example of there's a mouse under the table, but if we haven't agreed the definition of what mouse is, then we could essentially be arguing about 2 different things. Like you could be arguing about like a rodent and I would never be arguing about a rodent. I would be arguing about the little technical device that moves my cursor around on my computer, right? So that's the point of definition. And so now I want you guys to take this poll and choose a side for me so that we can determine which side we're going to use to practice division. So do you want affirmative or do you want negative? Did everybody vote? Everybody hasn't voted. Russell, I need you to vote on the poll. Jordan.
There is no poll for me.
It didn't pop up? You don't see it on your screen? What do you see, Simon?
Everybody in their little video frame things.
Are you back on to because you got kicked out. Are you in Nearpod? Let me put the link back up. You should be in Nearpod and then you'll see the poll.
Miss Jimmy, are we going to be able to share our issue?
Yes. Okay, just Russell. Russell, can you vote, please? It looks like most of you want the affirmative. Russell, can you vote, please? Are you able to? Are you there?
Oh.
Russell, do you see a poll on your screen? Okay, it looks like affirmative wins, so. Okay, can you guys see the results? Russell, I don't have his results, but can you guys see the results? Okay, so it looks like affirmative it is. Okay, so if we were to choose affirmative, now we're gonna practice division. So you guys have a template there to work from. And so if we've chosen the affirmative, our thesis is going to be Mary should have entered the garden, right? What,
So do the same thesis or our own thesis?
we're going to practice this classroom thesis now so that we just understand how to do it. So on your screens, go ahead and type in, or you can do your personal thesis. I think that would be more helpful for you guys. So put in what your thesis is, and then we'll be able to see each one. We're going to run a little bit over. What your counter thesis would be.
Mr. Mia, we haven't done sorting at home. So do we always pick affirmative?
You
So
have,
can we just do the classroom thesis?
yeah, let's just go ahead and do the classroom thesis, because when you come back to share next week, then we'll be able to hear all of what you guys chose for your own individual thesis. So go ahead. The classroom thesis is Mary should have entered the garden. That's the classroom thesis. So the counter would be the opposite of that, right? Mary should not have entered the garden.
Do we type it in on our own screens?
Yes, you should be able to. Yep, I hear you. This is our last bit.
Mr. Mia, how would we do a common opinion?
So it could be like, say you chose your two terms to be Mary and then the uncle. What's his name again? Archibald. Say you chose them as the two terms that you wanted to kind of compare. So then what would be common between both of them? Okay, how are you guys coming along? We gotta go through this. Let me see. Okay, very good. Oh, that's so little, Simon. I can't see it. It's very little. What were your common opinions that nobody?
Nearpod is glitching, kind of.
Is it glitching for everyone?
It's like zoomed in, like I.
Yeah, that's doing it for me too. It's a little bit hard.
Okay.
It's not glitching for me.
Okay, let's share some of these because we've run out of time and I don't want to go too over into science. I want to leave time for presentations. Okay, so the thesis and counter thesis are pretty easy, right? How about when we get to the common terms? If we were to use Mary and Archibald, what did you guys come up with? A few things to throw out there.
Grumpy.
They both were grumpy. Okay. What else?
They were both miserable.
They were both miserable.
They
Okay.
both lost a loved one.
Yes, they both lost loved ones. That's a good one, Grant. Very good.
They were both Yorkshire-ish.
Okay, they both were Yorkshire. Okay, very good. How about in terms of the garden? If we were to make it more specific to the garden, what was common between them about the garden? Kendall?
They had both enjoyed the garden at different points.
Mm-hmm. Very good. What else? What did the garden make both of them feel at some point?
Happy?
Yes.
They both wanted Miss Craven back. So they probably, the garden might have reminded them of her.
Right. And so they also could both agree that the garden was lost for a time. It was a secret for a long time because it was closed up for how many years? Right, for 10 years. Okay, what's a common opinion? What is something that they both agreed on about the garden? I think we just said one of them.
It was beautiful.
Okay, it was beautiful.
Miss Jamia, when we go through this at home, are we supposed to try and get at least 3 in for each of them?
Well, I know that's what it was previously. It doesn't look like it has a number now in your worksheets.
Because sometimes it might be hard to get all 3 in.
Yeah.
Who you're comparing.
Yeah, I'm sure that one for now, especially just beginning, I think as we go along and you are practicing division more and more, you might be able to come up with more than one, but just as an introduction, one would be fine. So let's say that our common opinion is that they both could agree that it was locked away for 10 years. Okay, that's something that they both would agree on, that it was locked away for 10 years. Okay, how about both sides fear? What did they both fear?
Did they both fear Martha?
Did they fear Martha? How did Archibald, Mr. Craven, feel about Martha?
I don't think she knew her.
It seemed he was indifferent to her. Or Mr. Craven, he really cared.
Right, but he did care for her mother, right? Miss Sowerby, he had a good relationship with her mother. in any relationship that he did have with Martha would have been through her mother. How about they feared kind of uncovering the garden at some point? Like Mary had found it and her fear was someone would find out that she uncovered it, and Mr. Craven didn't want anyone to uncover it. So they shared the same fear of uncovering the garden, but for different reasons, right? And then a want, how about a want? What is something they both wanted?
Were we supposed to come up with one of
Yeah.
each chart or just one of them?
You could come up with one of them, but we're just kind of talking it through so that you can see that you could potentially come up with 3 different things here, right? So I put, they both wanted to be happy. I think that
That's what I just said.
Oh, very good, Russell. I think for a long time, Mr. Craven didn't know how to be happy after his wife died, and he just kind of shut down. And he needed to be inspired to be happy again. And what is something that they both believed?
They both wanted Colin to get better.
Yes, they did. Very good, Grant. They did both want that.
What does Grant say?
They both wanted Colin to get better. Okay, and then what is something they both believed? What did they believe about the garden? What did they both believe about the garden?
Maybe they believed in the magic of the garden.
Okay, very good.
I think.
And then finally, if we were to now choose one point of agreement, we could choose any of those 3. Maybe just for the sake of the exercise, they both wanted to be happy. We could choose that as something that they agree on. And then a disagreement could be what? What's something that the one disagreement? The one point they would disagree with? Do you think if Mr. Craven would have found out that Mary found the garden prior to the point that he found out, that he would have been happy about that? Like, what if he would have found out at the point that she found the key soon after that? How do you think that it would have been different, his reaction?
Maybe they disagree on exploring forbidden places.
Okay. Very good. So you could explore that. I don't know if any of you chose that for your issue. Did anyone choose this for your issue? Okay, so you could explore that. It could be a point of disagreement since that key was pivotal in the story. It could be that Mr. Craven may have disagreed with her trying to revive the garden had he found out sooner. He had to kind of go through a transition before he would have been accepting of her and the children being in the garden, right? And so if he didn't find that out at the right point, he may not have been happy about it. It may have kind of turned another way. Okay, so that's it for LTW, guys. We're gonna go into
The last subject of the day.
Yes, the last subject of the day. We are not gonna take a break because only a few of you are presenting. So you essentially will kind of get a break by just listening. Yes, Kendall?
May I grab my jacket really quick? Because it's cold.
Oh, yeah, of course.
May I grab my jacket? Thanks.
Can I go to the bathroom?
May I get a drink of water, please?
Yes.
Miss Jamia.
Yes.
So I never actually set up my board. Is that okay? Can I do it?
That's fine.
I started thinking of titles. And
Okay,
I got my board from Staples, but
that's fine. I think we are also just delayed because we ended up starting 2 weeks later than the date that we normally start on. So we might be a little bit delayed in the assignments. As long as you guys are ready to present by the 30th for the judges, and you're able to practice, that's the most important thing right now.
But so yesterday night, my mom did run through a couple of questions and I tried answering them.
Ms.
Okay.
Mia, are we gonna have another half day today?
Yes, we do have, this is the last seminar of the day. And then
Oh, okay.
we'll be
But
meeting.
Simon, but what I might do is get ahead on my work for Monday in the afternoon so that you don't have as much next week.
Yeah, that would be good. Okay, so for your display boards, I think it may have said in the guide that you didn't have to assemble it. At this point, you can move at a pace that's comfortable just so that you are ready by the 30th. We're gonna watch this quick little video. We're gonna watch this quick video to kind of give you some pointers of how you present your board, okay?
Are we out of, we're out of Nearpod, right?
No, we're still in Nearpod. Okay, do you see a video ready to play on your screen? Okay.
Hi, I'm Miss Massey,
Ooh.
and I'm here to show you
How
how
to-
to
do you hear
a
it?
video for your virtual science.
You can hear it?
You are not required to make a trifold board for this year's.
I can't see it.
You can't see it or you can't hear it?
I can't see it. I can hear it.
Hold on. Will it ask me again? Video plays on the teacher's device. Questions appear on student devices. I don't know. Is that what I want?
Can you maybe share your screen and we can watch it in Zoom?
Yeah, we'll have to do that. Okay. Okay. What do you guys see now? Do you see something that says this is a video?
Mr. Me, I'm already doing it.
Okay. If you watch the video, that's fine. Otherwise, I'm playing it right now.
No, I'm watching the video right now.
Okay.
Is a trifold board of a sample experiment.
How come I can't hear it?
Is what is the effect of adding salt?
I can hear
I'm
it.
on 2 devices.
Okay. Okay, Russell.
Hi.
But you guys can hear it, right?
I am the science specialist
Okay.
for Rock Hill Schools. This is my project. Then you want to talk about your hypothesis. Adding salt to ice water will increase the temperature of the water. The materials. These are my materials. They are listed. Ice, salt, measuring spoons, cups, and thermometers. I did some background research on this project, and it's important to me because, so I'm going to take a few moments to talk about my background research. Then I will discuss my procedure. The procedure is how you did your project. So make sure that you explain that to the judges. The next step is for you to talk about your data, and you want your camera person to follow you over to that information so that the judges can see it clearly. The judges may even pause the video so that they can study your data. The next thing you want to show are your results, which will be in the form of a bar graph or a line graph. And again, you want to show that because the judges will probably pause the video to look at that information. And then you want to show your conclusions. The conclusions are written in paragraph form, and you're answering some questions that people would ask if you told them about your experiment. If you are a middle school student.
Ms. Jamia, I can't hear the video.
Okay,
It does not have to be a 5-minute video, but it can be.
It's very low volume, but I can kind of hear it.
You're expecting that you will do slightly more extensive
okay, I'm gonna
research.
stop it. I think for the most part,
Can
you
you guys be quiet? I can't hear the video.
Miss Jamia, the way she was doing it, it kind of sounded like it would have been a recorded video. So
I can hear the video.
wait, what did he say, Miss Jamia?
I'm not sure. Russell, I'm not going to continue to play the video because everyone isn't able to view it. So we're going to just discuss what we did see so far. It is a recording. However, the way that she presented the video is what I wanted you to pay attention to. She would be using her board as more of a prop instead of reading from it. She didn't get to the part where she shows she zooms out and she shows her research paper down at the bottom of the display board. And so again, you want to know your project enough that you can speak to it. So when the judges begin to ask you questions, you want to just be able to speak to your project like you know it. You are the scientist that did these experiments, and trust yourself. Be confident in your responses because you know what you did for your project, okay? And that's why I gave you the questions ahead of time so that you can practice them, because these same questions will be given to the judges. And at least 2 of the judges, they are not familiar with CC. They are not familiar with homeschool students, but they are scientists. So they're just going to follow the question format and they're going to look for you to answer the question as if you know it. Okay, so I don't want you to be nervous about it, just practice.
But Mr. Mia, they might ask some of their own, right? So you don't know that they're only gonna ask those, right?
They might, but they still would have, like, they would be relevant to the question that you're already answering. So if they need kind of clarification for something that they don't understand that you're presenting, you might have to look at your figures if they're asking about something specific, right? But it still should be along the same information that you're given in the questions that you have. Okay. So without further ado, if you guys go back to Nearpod, for presentation, remember the types of things that we're working on. We're working on eye contact, especially virtually, right? Eye contact is going to be key because when you're not looking at us, we know right away, right? Your posture, your movement, decide if you want to stand or you want to sit. So it might be the case that you stand, you zoom out a little bit so that we see your board. For any of you that choose to do a virtual, like using PowerPoint or something, make sure that you can speak to the information that you have on your PowerPoint. Yes, Shiloh.
If you don't want to do a PowerPoint, could you like take a picture of like your research or your data and maybe edit it into the video so the judges could see it better instead of having to move around your props? Just so they could see it easily.
Right, you can. In this case, they're probably going to make their judgments based on the information that you give them, more so than being able to really observe your board. If anything, I think if you looked at your judges sheet in your guide, they'll be looking at your board for kind of clarity, order, making sure that you have the right steps on there. But whatever you respond to the questions is going to be kind of the basis of their judging for your project because we're virtual, if that makes sense. You could do that if you think you could do it in a way that you can do it well. If you've practiced it and you're just like, oh, I'm all over the place, then you might want to consider not using it. But these are things we've been practicing all year for presentations, right? Good energy. Like, we want to see that you guys enjoyed your projects. So look like you've enjoyed the project when your judges are speaking to you, and not that it was this huge chore that you hated. Even if you did, fake it. You're presenting, right? So your facial expression will let us know if you enjoyed it or not. And then for your speech, you want to have a good volume, enunciate your words. If you have some difficult pronunciations there, practice them. Practice them a few times so that when it comes time to presenting, you are confident in your enunciation. Make sure your pacing is at a good pace, that it's not too slow, not too fast, that the judges don't have to be like this trying to listen to your presentation, okay? Enthusiasm and good word choices. Like, you guys have already been doing this all year, so I'm confident that you're going to deliver a very good presentation. Okay. So, and the time, if you haven't been given the time, it should be 3 to 5 minutes. So time yourself, because you will be, points will be deducted if you go over 5 minutes. So make sure you time yourself. William, are you ready?
What do you mean by points?
So it's a science fair presentation, Russell, and there'll be judges on January 30th virtually that will judge your presentation and your projects.
Are you only
What happens if you get the most points? What happens? Is it like a competition, or
You'll be awarded first, second, and third place.
do you
And
get any prizes?
you will receive an award.
What award?
Or is it money?
You will receive an award.
Wait, is it money?
It's a surprise. It's a surprise.
You will
No. I really want to know if it's money.
Oh, come on. I don't want to work that hard or not.
I am not giving away what the awards will be. You will receive an award. Everyone will receive certificates for their participation and hard work, and first, second, and third place will receive awards.
Miss Jamia.
I hope it's something expensive.
So, what was I gonna say? Never mind.
Okay, so one thing that we have to remember, you guys, is that all of these great skills and tools that you guys are learning throughout these different seminars, that is reward enough. You are certainly preparing yourself for higher academics. And let me just tell you, with a daughter, her senior year, and she's already applied to 5 schools. She's gotten into 4 so far. CC has helped her develop into a great communicator. So now when she had to write all of these essays and things, and she has to present herself in virtual interviews, all of this practice that you're getting right now is going to help prepare you for that. Okay, and you're going to be 10 steps ahead of other students that don't get this natural practice every day they come together in class. It's a very different thing in traditional school. They do presentations as well, but you guys have to present every time we come together to meet in one seminar or another, right? You guys have to present often. So I want you to put your best effort in, because it's the right thing to do and you just want to do well. And if you do that every time, you're always going to do very, very well in whatever you do. Okay, any more questions before we start? So I want you guys to write down 1 glow and 1 grow. That's what we're working on for those that are presenting today. We'll hear a couple. Yes, William.
Am I presenting? Who's presenting?
William, Jordan, Eden, and Daniel. And then if we have time, I have a volunteer. I have space for someone to volunteer if they want to go today.
Because Eden's not coming, is it going to be 2 volunteers if we have time? Because Eden's not here.
She might be here next Friday. So we'll see with time. Okay, so let's get started. You ready, William?
Yeah, but so for the actual presentation, is it only going to be 1? Are we going to present to all of the judges at once?
Yes,
So, and it'll only be once and then we'll be done.
yes.
Okay, I thought I remembered something about before you had to present more than once. Maybe I was.
I think it's been different at different fairs. I know with Sinai's, all the judges would come around the student project and then the student had to present.
So,
So, but then there's also been times where each judge, like the student would stand near their own board and judges would just go to each board and would judge them that way as well. I've seen it done both ways.
are they ever gonna ask questions outside of our 3 to 5 minute presentation? Or is it only gonna, are we only gonna be judged within that allotted time?
Well, they're going to ask you questions after your presentation. So your presentation is your 3 to 5 minutes to tell them about your project. Then after that, it's a question and answer period.
Okay, thank you. And also one more quick question. How long do you think that the whole presentation will take?
Maybe 10 minutes.
I mean like the whole fair for everyone, including the judging.
Oh, I haven't tried to figure that out yet.
And does it start at 9 or 10?
I think I sent the times out, didn't I?
You did. So
yeah, I have to look again. I mean, I'll send it out again so that you guys will know exactly what to be prepared for. You want to be dressed, you're presenting to judges for science.
Did we wear a tie?
If you like, you probably don't want to have on sweats or something like that. You probably don't have to worry about pants, your lower half, unless you stand up. But be careful if you stand up on accident and they see you dressed up from the waist up and then they see pajamas at the bottom, that probably won't serve very well on the judging sheet. I know that's happened to me before because I forgot and I stood up for something. I was like, oh, that's my pajamas. Oh no. So be careful. Any more questions? Kendall, you had a question? Okay. William, are you ready? I'm not gonna time you now, but make sure you guys, actually, I probably will time you.
Miss Jamia, can I share my screen with Microsoft Word kind of like as a prop?
Yes, you can. Oh, I need to stop sharing, don't I? Can you guys remember your order? So let me write it down.
William, Jordan, Daniel, volunteer.
William, Jordan, Daniel, volunteer. Okay.
Okay.
Stop sharing. Okay.
So, one sec. So I guess I'll kind of use this as a prop. So my research problem, I was wondering, have you ever noticed why some cookies use baking soda and others baking powder? So I love to bake and I thought that would be a cool experiment to try and test out. So I decided to try it out with sugar cookies and let's see how it went. So for background research, I researched about different leavening agents and for my first paragraph, just how they work. So I researched about yeast, which is a tiny single-celled organism, but removed from what we would recognize as life, but yeah, you might. So, and then I also researched about chemical leavening agents. You probably have heard of baking powder and baking soda. I'm sure most of you have. And then I researched about steam. I was not able to conduct an experiment to use steam in my procedure, as that's not something you would add, that's something that you would do, which I could not very well do. Then for my hypothesis, I guess yeast would rise more and then baking powder would just taste like a regular cookie and baking soda would be almost inedible. So for my procedure, I basically made the cookies and then I'd add the leavening agents, roll the cookies into balls and bake them. then I would measure them. Here's my materials list. I will not run through it as it is a pretty long one. For risk and safety, there are a couple things to be wary about. So ovens are hot, of course, use oven mitts. And then I know some people may be more concerned about raw eggs that can contain salmonella. No, I'm not particularly, so I have sometimes eaten a little bit of the leftover dough afterward, but that is certainly something that you may keep in mind when consuming it. So for data analysis, I measured them after about a minute after they came out of the oven and used a centimeter ruler. So my data showed that that baking powder was the highest wet dry ingredient, and baking and the highest wet was kefir. One sec. Yeah. So in conclusion, I would say my experiment went pretty smoothly. For the most part, my hypothesis was slightly wrong, as yeast did not rise as much. Did not rise as much. I learned that baking soda, while it's not as good as baking powder, is not as bad as it made out to be, though I can still taste the aftertaste. I performed 3 trials, and I will attest that yeast had a strong taste and as large a proportion as I used. That is something that I mentioned in my background research up here, that adding more yeast will not make dough rise more, but it will add yeast flavor. I can attest to that. So in conclusion, yeah. So I ran 3 trials. I think I may have had better success with bread, seeing as that's and if I would have found a way to flatten out my dough, that may have worked a little bit better. But in conclusion, this was a pretty fun and experiment, and yeah.
Okay, very good. I was trying to look for the questions. I did not put them up. I have to go to the classroom, I think. Sorry about this, William. Okay, here we go. Okay, so where did you get the idea for your project?
I was in need of an idea for my project, and I love to bake. I bake quite often, and so I just kind of thought of it off the top of my head. I know that might not seem like the most interesting way. Probably other people have thought of more interesting ways to come up with the experiment, but that was how I thought of mine.
Okay, for the sake of time, William, I'm gonna have to forego any more questions. You did a very good job. Your glow for me is that it seemed like you knew your project very well. Your grow is if that was your research plan. You uploaded your research paper, correct?
Here, one sec. This was my research paper. I hope, maybe I should have been presenting as from my research paper, but I started doing, I didn't take all the dates away because you said you weren't supposed to have dates. Wait, maybe I did, but I didn't. I was gonna make the headings a little bit bigger.
Okay. Okay, so
my research, this is my research paper.
Okay. Okay. The only grow that I would say is for your transition statements. Try to make it seem like you're speaking almost like, so for my hypothesis, I wanted to determine, instead of saying my hypothesis and then kind of stating it, let it flow like it's a conversation that you're having with the judges.
Can you summarize that up in a couple words? Because I was going to take note of that to practice it. So just transition statements smoother.
Right. So instead of saying hypothesis and then just stating your hypothesis, make it flow in terms. So you would say, so, I wanted to determine, and then you say what your hypothesis was, right? This was my question. And then you flow into the next part. So you want it to flow like a paper would read, instead of you just kind of stating what the title is and then stating your facts from it, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have one other comment from another classmate? Something to give. Hold on, how do
Here,
I?
one sec, I'll stop sharing.
Okay, does anyone have one comment, a glow in the grow for William? So don't force me to call on you because I will. Okay, Shiloh, can you give us one glow and one grow? Remember, this is what we need to hear, you guys, so that you know the things to work on for your presentation.
My glow was kind of the same as Mr. Mia's. You really knew like what you were talking about, and it seemed like you were really having fun with it. And then my grow could be have a little bit more enthusiasm, because it kind of seemed that you were kind of just reading off your paper.
Okay, very good. So
It may have seemed like I had fun with it, but it kind of got a little boring after a while, like having to do all those tests.
Well, you can fake it well, especially if you love cooking. Let that show. Let that show. Your love for cooking, let that show in your presentation. Okay, thank you, William. You did do overall a very good job. Okay, Jordan, you ready?
Yeah.
So we should be thinking of a grow and glow for him.
Yes. So I'd like you to pay attention, guys, and think of a grow and glow. I'll pick on somebody to share. Remember, this is going to help you guys to do your very best, okay? Jordan, do you need to share your screen? Or are you okay? Okay, go ahead and share your screen.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jordan Wilder. My science
Jordan,
What'd you say?
we need to see you for your presentation.
Oh, can you see me now?
Yeah, you can see me now.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jordan Wilder. My science project is about teeth enamel erosion. My problem is when I was at church, my aunt told me that about putting my teeth in Coke, and it will wear away the tooth enamel. I wonder if that was true. What will happen if your teeth was placed into different liquids? My research question is, which liquid will eat away the tooth enamel faster? Lemon juice, white vinegar, or Coke? My hypothesis that I chose was lemon juice should eat away the tooth enamel the fastest, faster than the white vinegar or Coke. My background research is research and explain which liquid will eat away the tooth enamel faster. Research and explain why the liquid eats away the tooth enamel. My procedure is compare the effect of adding 3 teeth to 3 different liquids. And I will observe which liquid ate away the tooth enamel the fastest. What my materials was the 3 20-year-old teeth from Averna, 3 plastic cups, label cups, 1 cup of lemon juice, 1 cup of white vinegar, and 1 cup of Coke. My risk and safety precautions are there are no risk and safety hazards. My data analysis is I plan to record my observation about which liquid eats away the tooth enamel the fastest. I will analyze pictures to write up my observation. I will observe my results by looking at the pictures. My conclusion is my hypothesis was that lemon juice should eat away the tooth enamel faster than the white vinegar or Coke. My results support my hypothesis. I think the test went smoothly. I relied solely on the pictures to record my results. The lemon juice ate away the jiffy enamel the fastest because of acid. That's it.
Okay, very good. Let me Okay.
What'd you say, Mr. Mia?
Did we have a glow and a grow for, do we have a glow and a grow for, can you stop sharing for me, please, Jordan?
Yes.
And then I'll share mine at the end. Okay, Grant, yes.
So for your glow, I think you did pretty good on pacing. And for your grow, I think you should try and not to read as much. It was a bit noticeable.
Grant, your mic is low. I can't really hear you that well.
I think so. Your glow is that you have good pacing, and your grow is maybe to not read as much and get familiar with the words you're saying.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Jordan, I think I would probably second that. I think your volume was very good and your eye contact was good. For your grow, you do want to get more familiar with your materials so that you are speaking to the project that you did. I know that you know it because you can talk about it when you kind of went off script before and I just asked you questions about it. I know you know it. So I want you to be confident in that and then just tell the judges about your project. Okay? Practice doing it. You did a very good job though.
Thank you.
Okay, Daniel, you're up.
Okay.
You want to share your screen or are you good?
I can share my screen.
Okay.
Hi. Ms. Jamia,
Yes.
can you see the board?
Yes, very good. I can.
This one actually. Not the board, it's my research paper. This one. Okay. Hi, my name is Daniel Wilder, and my science fair project is about mixing Mentos and Coke. There are YouTube videos of adding Mentos to Coke and causing an explosion. My hypothesis was that the Diet Coke will make the biggest explosion.
Daniel, we need to see your face.
You can't see my face. It's because I'm on an iPad, so.
Okay, when it's time for you to present for the judges, they're gonna need to see your face.
Okay.
So we can practice this way right now, but just be mindful of that. Okay?
On Jordan's slide, on Jordan's camera. Ms. Jamia?
Yes? I'll put you on Jordan.
Oh yeah, I'm on Jordan, but I'm reading from presenting from my iPad.
Okay, so let me Jordan. There you go. Okay.
Okay. I'll start over. Hi, my name is Daniel Wilder. My science fair project title is mixing Mentos and Coke. There are YouTube videos of people adding Mentos and Coke. I wonder if this was true or not. My hypothesis was that the Diet Coke will make a big explosion. Will make a big explosion if you put Mentos into it. My research question is, which soda will make the biggest explosion when you add Mentos to Diet Coke to it, Diet Coke or regular Coke? My hypothesis is that my procedure is compare the effect of adding the Mentos to two different brands of Coke. The height of each explosion will be observed. The constant variable of the Mentos. The constant variable is the Mentos, and the independent variable is the Diet Coke and the regular Coke. My materials were 2-liter Coke bottles, and Mentos and index cards. My observation is my aunt will videotape the experiment on her phone. I will watch the video. I will watch it afterwards and record what I saw from the video. My results was that the Diet Coke was 43 inches and the regular Coke was 24 and 7/8 inches. My conclusion, my hypothesis was that the Diet Coke would make the biggest explosion. When we were doing the experiment, one of the Mentos fell from the index card. We tried the experiment with 7 Mentos and it did not go well because it did not make a big explosion. So we added more Mentos. We added 13 Mentos in total, and it went well. I would like to thank my aunt and uncle for helping me with the experiment, and that's all.
Okay, very good. Okay. Okay, so do we have one glow and grow, William?
Okay, so your glow is good volume, and your grow is, I was kind of looking at your prop, and I don't think all your punctuation was quite correct. So like if you're printing that out on your board, I think that's one thing they may judge is a quick scan of your spelling and stuff. And I'm not sure all your letters and stuff are quite grammarly correct, but maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, William. So Daniel, I think your feedback will be similar to Jordan, and everyone else pay attention to this too, because this will help you all, right? I want you to get, well, first of all, let me tell you what you did well. Your volume, your pacing was well, your eye contact was great. And so now the thing that I want you to work on the most is, I know that this experiment was fun. I know you had a good time doing it. So I want you to tell us like you really enjoyed it instead of you reading. I know that experiment was fun to watch those explosions. I want you to communicate that to your judges, okay? And Daniel was the only one that introduced himself at the very beginning. Very good, Daniel.
Jordan did that.
Thank you.
I don't remember Jordan introducing himself. I only remember Daniel introducing himself for the ones that went today. So don't forget to do that. Introduce yourself, okay, before you go into your project. Very good, Daniel. And so I think that same critique will be for all of you. Make sure that you guys know your experiment. I know you do. You've spent several weeks doing the research and figuring out what question you wanted to answer for your hypothesis. So I know you know it. Now practice it in a way that when you present it for the judges, they will know that you know it, okay? But very, very good, guys. Okay, so we don't really have time for Did anyone want to go today? Of course, if I ask like that. Okay, so we are going to end 4 minutes early. So that means I'm going to try to get all of you in for next Friday. So be prepared.
So we should just work on setting up our board this week.
Yes, work on setting up your board, and please practice. Now, if you want Ms. Jamia to give you some critique, you can do a flip board. I'll put a flip board in. It's optional. You don't have to do it. But if you would like me to see how you present and give you some feedback, I'll be happy to do that. Okay. And it'd be good for you to see how the judges are going to see you. So then you know yourself what you need to work on. Okay. You guys have any questions? Okay, you are dismissed. I will see you Monday. Say some prayers for Eden and her family.
Thank you.
Bye. Miss Jamia.
Yes, Jordan.
This is Daniel.
Yes.
I have one question about the judges. Is the judges gonna be on the Zoom, or are they gonna be?
Yes.
Or it's just
They
gonna
will
be.
They'll be on the Zoom.
Okay.
Okay, good job, guys. You guys did well today.
Bye, Miss Jamia.
Bye-bye. Have a good weekend.
You too.